everyone, this is Ashley, and I just wanted to make an instructional video on how to take an E.P.T digital pregnancy test, which stands for error-proof test. I've done one so far on the Frere Digital Gold and also on the Clear Blue Weeks Estimator. So I thought I would do one on E.P.T as well. Now, E.P.T works fairly the same as the Clear Blue. Essentially, you want to read the instructions beforehand thoroughly, just to make sure that there's no errors involved. There's a lot of room for errors, so make sure that you thoroughly read the instructions on any digital test or even any home pregnancy test that you are unfamiliar with. So let me go ahead and go over a few things before we get started. Beforehand, it is really good to use FMU, which stands for first morning urine. You want to use a highly concentrated result. Highly concentrated urine is going to have the highest concentration of HCG available. Some people do often have, like if you're using a pink dye test and it's a line test, you might get a darker line with a hold in the evening or in the afternoon, SMU, which stands for second morning urine. But when you're using a digital test, it's usually optimal to use your first morning urine. And you want to have about anywhere from, I would say, a 6 to 8 hour hold. And you want to refrain from any and all beverages. And if you do have any liquid intakes, make them minimal, just so you can have the highest concentration of urine possible. But that's why FMU is usually a good idea, because you normally don't drink much throughout the night when you're sleeping. So with that being said, let me explain how this is going to work. You're going to see a result. Which it actually doesn't indicate on the box. Okay, so it's going to come in a package like this. And ideally, whenever you cut the package and you take the test out, it's going to look like this. And you're going to want to use it right away, or within a fairly decent amount of time. So I would say within, I would say 20 to 30 minutes of opening the test. So you want to get preparation. I highly recommend using a cup to collect your urine sample in, only because when you dip these in a midstream, you do risk, if the window guard gets splashed, being as how it's computerized, and there's a chip in there, you can cause an error and it can damage the test, and these can be quite expensive. So my recommendation is always to collect a urine sample in a cup and dip it to avoid those user errors. And not to mention the fact that if you collect the sample first prior to taking the test out of the package, because once you do that, it kind of activates the test, then if it's too diluted, you can dump the sample and try again later so you don't waste the test. So that's what I usually recommend doing, and that's what I usually opt to do myself. So with that being said, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take the lid off and you're going to dip the E.P.T for about 20 seconds inside the concentrated urine sample, and then you're going to put the lid back on. You're going to see a little book icon, and that's going to indicate that the test is working properly. And you're going to wait about 3 minutes, and then once the book icon stops flashing, then the result's going to appear. Now, I know what the result's going to be for me, but this is for all of you that may be new to testing with digital tests, especially E.P.T, and this just is strictly for E.P.T. Every single digital test, every single pregnancy test can be quite different. So it's really important that before you attempt to take a test, to again avoid a user error, read the instructions thoroughly, make sure you have highly concentrated urine, especially during early pregnancy, and optimally, these tests are best used around the time of your missed period for the most accurate results. So if you are testing early, you may want to use a highly sensitive test. So that is my recommendation. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and take the cap off here. Let me set this down for a second. Okay. And now I'm going to dip this for 20 seconds. go ahead and put the cap back on. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's a little hourglass. And sorry, not a notebook. If you see a book, that's usually an error. That's going to be flashing. And it's going to take around 3 minutes to get the results. Okay, so I'm actually going to pull out the instructions because I see a book now, and I'm really hoping that that is not an error on my behalf because I did hold it in for 20 seconds. Okay, so it's really important to hold in because typically these are going to be the results that you see. It's either going to be pregnant or not pregnant within about 3 minutes. So let me see what the instructions say. And I may have to redo the test. I may have to use a different test. Okay, so that is actually an error message. And so what that says is, let's see, book error symbol has appeared on the display. What does this mean? An error has occurred during testing, and maybe that the absorbent tip was not kept pointing downward, or the test was not laid flat after urine was applied. Too much or too little urine was applied. Test again with a new test, taking care to follow the instructions. Okay, so that, ladies and gentlemen, that is a error test. So let me grab one more and let's try this again. So I'm going to set this down. Luckily it comes with 3, and we'll try this again. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and dip this for exactly 20 seconds.